for the history of this tournament series, I think most people would be very,
I
very
think.
disappointed if me and Mango did not ended up in grand finals. And I share that feeling as well. It feels like this tournament series, it's our our series, our rivalry. It should be decided here.
Honestly, walking into Genesis 3, it was like more than a year ago now. Like, the expectations of me and Mango playing in grand finals was so high. I heard everyone talked about it so much. For Genesis 4, some people still wanted to see it. Probably a lot of people. But at Genesis 3, it was like an all time high. Like, it was just so many people because we played at Genesis 1, we played at Genesis 2. And Genesis 1 happened like 2009. Genesis 2 happened like 2 years after, and now this one happened like, what was it, like 4.5 years later? So people are like, oh, we want to see the rematch again, like settle the score, all of that. So Genesis 3 was crazy, crazy amount of pressure on me and Mango to make it to grand finals. Taj always so hyped.
The first one, we placed first and second. I kind of look at it like the Rocky movies, you know? The first movie, Rocky's coming in as the underdog, no one knows what he's all about. Apollo Creed is the champion of America, and Rocky almost wins. And then at Genesis 2, Mango's gonna be Try Hard Mango, and yeah, I guess Rocky won in the end. So, I don't know. For my sake and for the community's sake, I think it would be for the best if Mango and I end up in grand finals at this specific tournament. But it's gonna be very, very rough. It's a lot of good players out there.
Yeah, I know Mango disagree with this a lot, but today, a year later, I still feel like me being Rocky, Mango being Apollo is more fitting. Is way more fitting. Apollo, he loves America so much. He's dancing to living in America. The try hard reference is just so fucking hilarious when you think about it. Rocky 2, Apollo is gonna be, oh, try hard. And the thing is, people actually hyped up Genesis 2 as the return of like try hard Mango. So it's just a very, very funny reference. But I guess that means that Mango and I have to team at some point. Because that's what literally happens in Rocky 3 with Apollo being his coach.
We'll see. I'm hoping for it, but I will concentrate on my own part, and the rest is up to Mango.
There's also another thing I actually need to mention briefly. I'm not sure if that part made it into this episode or not, but at Genesis 3, after I beat HBox in Winners Final, Mango was gonna go up and play, I believe, Axe in Winners, no, Losers Semi. And I told him, like, I did my part, now it's up to you. And yeah, that was like pretty much what I talked about here. But it was like just like a pretty cool moment. Like I was ready for grand finals. I had to wait until like loser semis and loser finals was done. But I told him like I did my part. Now it's up to you. So happy to see him deliver. It's actually crazy seeing these events with so many people. Just thinking some years ago, like, no one would ever believe this.
Genesis as a tournament series means very, very much to me. I would say it's the single most important tournament series for me. Melee at the time, around Genesis 1, it was kind of the revival of Melee, the true revival, I want to say. And Genesis 1 was the first time when America's Best and Europe's Best were finally playing against each other for the first time. And I started in 2005 and playing Melee competitive. I thought I was very, very good at the time. Obviously, I was not. I got wrecked in pools. I did not make it out of pools. And I was very, very salty at first. But when I was watching the grand finals and everyone was like cheering, everyone was happy, everyone was hyped, I was like, one day that will be me. One day that will be me sitting in grand finals in like America. Because I'd been watching videos of Ken, Bomb Soldier, and a
G4
few
Grand
others, of course.
Finals. More like, hey,
From that
GDQ
tournament, I
Kappa.
decided I want to be the best in the world. And I realized that I will need to travel to America for that. And eventually,
Yo, I'll at least check this one out. Tie-Dye, thanks for the $5.40. More like ADGQ. I've actually heard that reference quite a few times.
realized that, okay, I'm pretty good at this game now. I was some months, maybe half a year before Genesis 1. So I really wanted to travel there. I didn't have the money. So I asked my grandparents if I could borrow $1,000 to go there.
Yeah, like, what was it like? Genesis 1, I was like 16. $1,000 was like a fortune for me. But I was like, Millie, compared to like some other esport overall, like, what was it like 8 years ago, was obviously not as big, but still, like, you never knew how long is Melee actually gonna last. So I really wanted to make it over there at least once, because it's been my goal since I entered my first tournament. And yeah, just hearing myself talk about that is like, when I was like going to my first tournament, I was like not even 12, and I was so positive that I was gonna like win the tournament or do super well. It's like just so funny that everyone in Melee, when they go to like their first tournament, pretty much, they're so convinced of how good they are, and it's always not the case.
At 1 pound 3 in East Coast, you know, they're big buttheads. They're like, no, it was a fluke, it was a fluke. And I guess you can see why it would be a fluke, you know, it's just like, you can't do it again, can't do it again. And it's funny how ROM 1 started. It was just a weekly, and I went into the Smashboards thread, and there was like $100 pop bonus for if any out-of-stater won. And $100 at the time is like game changer. Like nowadays that's like 5,000, but back in the day, that 100 meant a lot. I was just like, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna beat you guys again. So I started talking smack, and then they were like, no. So it turned into this whole thing, and out of nowhere, like Canada showing up, Florida showing up. So like just off that one thing, it started a chain reaction. Brawl had just come out, so Melee was just laying low. It really was a revival. It's like everyone's like, wait a minute, Mango vs. Mute King, I want to watch that. And then, you know, Florida comes, Canada comes. Like even Lovage came with me for no reason. Zoo came with me. So it's like randomly it just turned into something special. And then I didn't drop a set. Beat Mute King pretty convincing in winners. We played in Grand, you know, after the Shiz match. And he looked at me, he's like, I don't want to play mains. You want to play? Because he like didn't want to play my pub because he knew what was up at the time. This is pre-esport days. People were saying mean things, you know, like, and I'm like still like 17, 18, but you know, I always handled it pretty well. So I went to their house, you know, just like, you know, just handled business. And it wasn't until that moment, then they're like, okay, Mango, like, even Scar after like came up to me was like, dude, like, you're actually hell legit. They actually paid their respects, which was really cool.
So they let me borrow the money, and in the upcoming months, I was practicing more and more and more. And
I feel like that's also pretty often like a thing. If you out of nowhere just make like a huge surprise on the community, you almost always need to like prove yourself like at least a second or a third time for people to be convinced. And it seems like it even like was the case for Mango. I guess back then he wasn't really like a crowd favorite like he is now, but it just shows that like people want you to prove yourself more than once. But appreciated to hear that Mute King had such a mentality that he not even wanted to play Mango. Like Mute King's mentality has actually improved a lot since he entered Echo Fox. I feel like that was probably like a life-changing moment for Jason.
And I became the best in Europe in the meantime, winning 2 pretty big events. I imagined the Americans to be 10 times better than me, so I would never let myself rest pretty much. I was like, okay, I need to grind more, they're still better, I need to grind more. A few months before Genesis, people were talking like, oh, if or when you win Genesis. Some people were like, when? Like, it almost was a sure thing. But I think they were partly joking for the most part. But they wanted to believe that we could prove for America that we also had good players.
Yo, Papa Pain, thank you for the sub, dude. Welcome to the Armada, and good shit with this episode and like all the work you do for the community. It's amazing, dude. But yeah, it's like, I feel like the way I describe it a little bit there is like, it's so different now. Like playing a lot of Melee pre-esport era and playing a lot of Melee in the esport era is like different things. Like if I play 1 hour in like 1 hour a day on average, that was considered a lot by a lot of people. Nowadays, it's like 1 hour on average is like not high at all any longer. Not at all. Like of course, like I don't play Melee every day, but my average of gaming time is like much more now than it was pre-esport. So right there, I talk more from a perspective of back then. But my mentality was that like if you make things harder for yourself and you still push for it, it's gonna like give you better results in the end. Like imagine if you want to like break a record in something and you have someone like being there coaching you, pep talking you and all of that, and they're like, oh, you're 30 seconds away from the record, and you actually can't see the timer and you fully believe them. At this point, you've actually already been breaking the record, but imagine someone telling you you're 30 seconds away. If you really want to beat that record, you're gonna push for these 30 seconds as hard as you can. But if someone tells you, oh, you broke the record, you might not be able to push as much as you truly could, because you believe that you already gained, like you already reached your goal. And I pretty much had the same mentality here. If I was thinking that people were way superior of me, maybe that would make me practice more for the tournament. That was sort of my mentality.
For America, a lot of them did not think I would make top 32 even. You know, it's very different styles, it's a different version of the game. It's a lot of things traveling from Europe to America. It can't even be compared if Americans travel to Europe. Just because we don't have nearly as many good players. So when Europeans travel to America, you have to be ready from the first game pretty much. Maybe not these days because now Smash have been growing so much. So the average level is maybe not as high, even though it's way more good players. But back then, it was so many players you have never heard about. That was still very good. So eventually me and Eniolas, we came to Genesis 1, and it was so much bigger. Like, the biggest tournament I had been to in
Oh, Papa
Europe
Face,
was
thanks, dude.
way
I actually love
smaller.
chocolate.
Everyone was like so hyped. It was a different environment for sure. I knew who Mango was. I saw the Pound Free videos, or some of them. I remember the ending on Corneria, the up throw, until whatever it's called. I don't. What is it called even? R-Wing, yeah, and to arrest. So yeah, I saw some games from Mango. I remember seeing him and Mute King from Revival of Milo, I think it also was, when he played Falco versus the Marth. It was one tournament at least. So I knew he had both the Puff, I knew he had the Falco, I knew he was the best player, I knew what he looked like. He actually came up to me as one of the first people after I entered the venue. And we were shaking hands, we introduced each other, and he wanted to play. Like, he knew I was the best from Europe, and I knew he was the best from America, so we wanted to have some games, and let's play.
Honestly, I didn't even like pay him the respect of.
Yeah, I do remember that. Like, it was fun to see like the best player from the US coming up to me and talk to me like literally right after I arrived to the venue. Uh, we only got to play like 2 matches, but it was still like it was a fun moment. The weird part was that I actually had to go and play brawl pools. That's why we did not keep playing longer. It was like people got like a small piece. It was like, people were probably starting to think a little bit like, what's gonna come out of this? Or actually, probably no one was thinking that. Like, they still didn't believe. But at least in my mind, some people might have started to think that.
Like watching his videos, like to us, the only world that existed in Smash was like America, and like that was like unknown territory with a bunch of jabronos. I saw one of his matches. I'm like, like I thought nothing of it. I'm pretty sure I posted that he like wasn't even gonna make it out of pools.
We only played 2, and the first one I actually won, and people were like, "What is happening?" Right. But then Mango won the second one, and I think people are like, "Okay, it's back to what it should look like."
I think we went 1-1, if I remember correctly. I think we went 1-1. And like I said hi to him. It's like, you come to my home. I'll be nice. I'll show respect. Because it's a long travel. So I was like, I'll say hi. He's like, hey. He spoke terrible English. Had the long hair, the hat. Just looks completely different than what he looks like now. And also, many people don't know about his Daisy Dukes he wore that were like way up here, like so high up, and like I guess that's cool in Europe, but like it's everything about.
All right. I'll actually be honest. That's never been cool in Europe. The truth is actually that growing up, my parents often struggled financially, so a lot of times, like if it came to like clothes and stuff like that, the easiest thing was just to not ask. The thing is, if I did ask, they somehow would make things happen, but I feel like it was for the best to like not do it. Like my parents are amazing. I love both of them for sure. But financially, like especially since we were like 11 kids and only my dad was working, so it can't really be a surprise to anyone that knows me or any of my siblings that money haven't been an issue at like longer periods of time. So that's pretty much why that even became a thing. But these days, Mill is esport. Now I make my own money and like I can't really complain. So things turned out great in the end.
Not the way he looked was like funny. I'm like, this guy plays melee. Like, there's no way this guy's any good at melee. So I talked to him. We played 1-1 and like we're like good games. And I remember walking away like, nothing special.
And yeah, Mango played Falco in these
so
2 matches.
He beat me like on FD Falco Peach. I was like, I'm not impressed. So it's kind of funny that we went 1-1 and then that was it. That's all we played until tournament.
I think during the tournament, people started to realize I was good. Maybe they thought I would place in the top 32 or top 16 or whatever.
He beat Shiz, who was like probably top 5 at the time, you could argue. He beat like Mewtwo King, and I was like, whoa, like, cause no one just beats Mewtwo King. Like, it's like you got to be something to beat Mewtwo King. So it wasn't until then where I realized like, oh wait, this guy might actually be legit, And it was like the whole Genesis one was cool because it's like, obviously I'm the best. I'm handling my business on this side of the bracket, and then you got this European guy like climbing his way. It's like, oh man, is he gonna play Mango? Like Mango Armada? Like, is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen?
I was a bit nervous for most of my sets at Genesis 1. If a pretty good player from Europe does bad, you can always say like, oh, we didn't have our best player. But this time it was undeniable. Like, I was the champion of Europe, and if I do bad, you can't say like, oh, this player's gonna do better. Like, who's gonna believe that? No one, and they should not. If your best player fail, well, that sucks. At that moment, the winners final playing as Mango, it was supposed for us to have one song each, and he was picking the song Eye of the Tiger from the Rocky movies, and I don't know, in that set playing against him, I just had a fun time. I was like digging the song. I just had a good time. I didn't feel nervous at all. I just realized that I have accomplished a lot so far, and from this time forward, I will just enjoy the ride. He started off with Puff, a matchup I've always, since my first.
Yeah, that's actually like a huge difference for me. Like every set I played pretty much in the bracket, I was quite nervous. Like partly like in Europe, like we had a way smaller community, and people were not nearly as like hyped about stuff back then as they are now. So I hadn't really experienced what it was like playing in front of a crowd cheering against me. I had never experienced that. So, or like one tournament, it was like 45 people, so it can't be compared with like hundreds of people. Uh, so it was like weird. So I was like nervous. I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to prove that Europe could be good because there was so much shit talk. Like even Mango said like he made posts about like me not making it out of pools. A lot of good players were like top 32 at best, top 64. Like almost no one believed I would do good. So I was like I have to prove that I will do well and that I'm really good in Europe as a force to be reckoned with. So I was really nervous for some of my early sets. But once I reached winners finals, I was like, obviously I wanted to win, but I was like, even if I lose now, it's like I still did a good job. I was still showing that I'm a good player and all of that. So going into winners finals, I was not really nervous any longer, which was pretty nice. I got nervous in like game 5 since it was like so tense and stuff, but still.
Tournament hated. I always hated Puff. I hated her rest, her backers, everything with that character is not me.
I started Puff and like back in the day, like during that time, I was like Puff was my best character, but I felt, and you know I probably was better than everyone by so much that like I didn't even use Puff. I played Falco, Falcon, whatever. So it's like I went Puff and I hadn't played her in a while, and like I think he like 3-stocked me. He like destroyed me. I was like, okay, I'm not like Puff's not ready. I didn't because I didn't even practice like any different going up to the tournament. I was just like free win for me. Like I'm better than all these guys. But you know, Armada beat my Puff. I was like, okay, worry about that later.
Thanks
I
for
go
resub,
Falco,
dude.
and then I win game 2, and I was like, okay, sick.
It was a completely different side. Sort of like Shizwiz. It was much in your.
But yeah, my first tournament, Aniolas and I, when we play teams, we lose to this double Puff team. And that's where my hate starts. I'm like, this is stupid. I die from one move. Like, why does this character exist? I hated Puff in the anime. I hated Puff in Melee for my first tournament. And then it's like in France, the Puff era starts around the same time of. It was like pretty much the same time as Pound 3. Like Epida Smash Arena, I'm not sure if it was like right before or right after Pound 3. But it was like Aniolas and I lost to like another double Puff team. We got the revenge later on against them like a year later. I played like Fox. My Fox was not even practice, but I was like, it's gonna be easier with Fox than Peach. And we beat them a year later. They were still a really good team, Poilon and Infernum. But Peachy was just really bad against double Puff or Puff teams overall. But yeah, so my hate for Puff was always there. So it was just like, it was so annoying for me that like the best player in America played Puff, and then HBox, his rise started around Genesis 1 as well, or slightly before. So it was like, top 2 is Puff. Like, that was like a bad fucking book.
Face always jumping around. Game 2, he won in Yoshi's, his counter pick. By far his best stage with Valko, I would say. It's very small. His aggressive style is paying off more. You can't really run away from him.
Like there we go. I might as well just play the character I've been playing.
I felt like he might go back to Puff, but I'm okay with FD versus Puff. That was probably my best stage in the matchup. And you had a chain grabs on Falco. It was very, very tight, but I managed to win.
That was so bad. Still somehow.
Before a big upset is about to happen, everyone in the crowd at one point starts to think, what if? And after game 3, I felt like the crowd was thinking, what if? What if the best American player is gonna get sent to the loser bracket by a European? What if we are actually not the best continent in this game? What if this random guy is taking our event? I feel like that pressure, it was probably getting to Mango's head a little bit as well. People were cheering for him, but I remember that it was not the same as early on in the turns, early on in the sets versus New King and Shizwiz. That was more faith. People really was truly convinced that their play would win. But after like game 3, it was more desperation. People were like, come on, Mango, please, please. Like, it was more that, the desperation. But they still wanted to support him. But just all people in the crowd having this sort of mentality, what if, I guess that gave me a bit more power, that people were afraid. And once people get afraid in Smash, that's the time to strike.
Yeah, this is like a pretty good segment. Pretty good segment, I think. The entire what if mentality. I remember during the Big House 6 crew battle when Big House 5 it was, Big House 5, because Lafan wasn't there. And we were playing in SoCal, and we were like heavily an underdog against SoCal. Because we had like Guido on our team. Like, no offense to Guido, he's a good guy, and he's pretty decent at the game. But like in Europe, he would maybe be ranked like 35, 40, 50. I don't know exactly. So yeah, obviously he can't really be compared to Leffen, but we are still like about to win. Yo, thanks for resub, dude. But yeah, so I tell like the rest of the people on the European crew like at some like literally what I said here, like before every upset happens, the crowd starts to think, what if? The same thing happened when I was playing as S2J. I can bet hundreds of people in the venue when S2J won game 2 was starting to think, what if this happens? Or like, you know, these kind of things. And the same thing here, like I could really notice in the crowd, like before it was more people like, oh, let's go, like, oh, this is gonna be, you know, fun to watch, like it's gonna be destruction, all of that. But in game 4 here, people were more like, they were afraid of me winning. It was like all these bullshit a lot of them had been saying prior to the event. It was like they got proven wrong over and over and over again. And for every match I won, the more stupid their own statements was gonna look. So at this point, playing against Mango, it was like, if I beat him, they're gonna look like fucking idiots, to be honest. So I could like feel that. The atmosphere in the room was so different once we went into the game 4.
I remember the 5th game, I was up, and I went for like some edge guard, and I got hit by his umbrella, and I died at like 40. I remember that was like a Mango heartbreak before there were like Mango heartbreaks. That was one of like the first ones where it's like, oh, what are you doing out there?
I managed to clutch it out. I remember in game 5, last stock, I was about to finish off the game, and to this day I can't be entirely sure if this was on purpose, but I was doing up B outwards, dodging the move very, very precisely. And then I was sneaking over that forward smash. So I was a bit lucky, a bit of a good play for sure. And yeah.
Honestly, yeah. I have no
Outwards,
fucking idea if this
dodging the
was on
move.
purpose. It actually
Very,
might
very-
not have been. I've never ever done this
Precisely.
recovery before. Like, if I did up B in there, that arm smash might have been hitting me. And I did outwards
I
instead,
was
and then barely avoiding that smash. That's actually a crazy play. But yeah, not sure if it was on purpose.
Sneaking over that forward smash. So I was a bit
That was a
lucky,
down smash though.
a bit of a good play
For some reason,
sure.
yeah.
And yeah,
Down smash and then F smash.
the rest of the set is history.
Nice. Yeah. Wow. That's so fucking good, Armada. Armada, we're coming to Europe. We're picking Peach. We're picking 40 new Peach players.
So, you know, I lost, and I remember the whole room was just like, whoa. Like, everyone just like it was just shocked. Like, no one could believe it. It's like, who is this guy? Like, he just beat Meats King, he beat Mango. I needed that reality check. I guess I'm not, like, undisputedly the best, you know? It's like, this guy's here. And I remember I walked off the stage, and I looked at someone. I don't remember who it was, but someone sitting there, and they were like, dude, you got this. And I was like, I'm not worried.
In grand finals, it was actually more one-sided. early on. I remember I three stocked him the first match. I mean, funny thing is that a lot of Europeans, even to this day, joke about it. That if I didn't win first match so big, he might have been staying with Falco.
Well, actually, first game I started Falco, right? And then he destroyed my Falco, and I was like, okay, I'm just like, you know what? If I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna go down with Puff. So I was like, I'm just playing Puff, you know. And you know, most people don't like floaty against floaties, but like that set was like probably one of the best like floaties ever. It's just like, cause I was playing like I wasn't like just spamming stuff. Like we were actually going head to head.
And second game, I'm up pretty much the entire match, but I barely lost.
Mango.
Yeah, this game was so important for a tournament. That game was so important. I'm pretty sure, unless my memory... Yeah, unless I remember incorrectly, I'm pretty sure I was up by far most of the time in the second game. Yo, thanks for resub, dude. But yeah, I was up the entire second game pretty much, and then I barely lost it in the end. Like, going up 2-0 instead of going 1-1 is such a huge difference. That was a really important win for Mango. It was only one hit away. It was... Honestly, like, I won winners finals, but I feel like I had a bigger advantage the first set of grand finals. But if you can't clutch out the wins, it doesn't matter.
Shit, Mango.
Like, this motherfucker, man, he's like trying to come up in here.
Game 3, I went very convincingly.
Oh, shit. Oh.
That's actually one of the sickest plays ever. Seeing Puff die in 3 moves
Remember he
in
had the
like
stitch face
literally 2 seconds.
Oh, shit.
I can watch that all day, baby. I can watch it all day.
Remember he hit the Stitch Face combo, then he taunted, and I was like,
A lot of times they actually can't get out of it. So fair Stitch Face, a lot of times, is pretty much a true combo. And then I
Yeah, if you do it incorrectly,
the
it
Stitch
is.
Face, and I see that he's like trying to challenge me. And I'm like, all right, let's throw it again and let's see what happens.
and it's like in the floaty matchup to just lose the stock like that. It's like, so I was already in a bad spot. That's when the rest happened, right? So, pretty sure there was a moment in the first set we played where I had Puff. We were using that same situation where he was shielding, and he rolled. I was like, okay, I'm gonna remember that. Like, I'm like, if he's in the spot, he might do it again. And like the whole lead up, everything about it, like Brandon on commentary, like it's like it gets so hype and like just like the stars couldn't align any better. And like, you know, that's my sub noise to this day. It's like even like when I hear it, if I watch that video, no matter what, I always get the chills. Like no matter what, I get the chills. Like even talking about it, I get a little chilly because like I was down. That was it. Mango the hero was falling. And it's like, this guy's outplaying me in neutral like every time. He's just like better than me a little bit. Just a little bit better than me. And it's like, I need something, you know? And I remember it sets up, so I take his stock. I remember I do an up smash to kill him. Pretty sure up smash was like a total accident. But you know, it killed him, whatever. And then like I remember the crowd, like people started standing up because it was like, this is it. Like, is our Mango really gonna lose to this guy? And it just set up, and I'm like, if I see any opportunity to rest, I'm going for it. Like I need something to like, you know, pick me up. And it was there, we're standing there, and in my head I'm like, fuck yeah, like let's do it.
That's a good play for sure. That's a good play for sure. And I can, how do you say, like what Mango talks about, like specific moments, in like his career. Like I can relate to that. It's like specific moments. It's like every time someone talks about it or you hear about it, like you used to feel amazing. And obviously this one is up there for Mango. It was a crazy tournament. It was crazy hype. And it was a crazy good play, for sure. And yeah, not sure what to say. It was good melee. It was good melee being played that day.
To this day, I've only ever gone for that specific rest once. That's the only time I've ever like read someone's roll like that and jumped and got like. To this day, I think it's the only one. And I remember when I hit it, like the place was like. Like even to this day, like in all the Smash events I've been, like I've been part of like a lot of hype moments where like people were up, but like something about that was like in the air, like everyone just like lost it. Like, you know, Alex picked up the chair, like he was so hyped, he picked up a chair. Like how hyped you have to be to just pick up the chair you're sitting on, you know? So it's like
What the fuck?
everyone like that, and then Armada, you could just like from the way he was, like just done. Like he was so like you could tell he was done after that.
Yeah,
I
my
think
hate
that's
for
the
Puff
first
was
time I
real,
started
and
to,
then
like,
that
really
happened.
play
That was like the
shaky.
worst
That was
thing
the
that could have
first
happened
time
for me.
when my nerves really, like, I lost control of it.
The next game starts. I'm like up 3-1, but he almost brought it back. Like it actually went down because I got lazy. I did like the classic. I was up 3-1 against the Peach. I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm like riding the hype. The crowd's like losing it.
I was behind like the entire game 5, and I think I lost pretty much all my confidence. But then I do remember at one point during the match, I'm like, all right, this sucks. This sucks. And I was like, for a split of a second, and a lot of people don't trust me on this, but it's actually the truth. I got reminded of the match between Amsa and EK, that the only thing that made EK lost in the biggest comeback of all time was that he got too confident. So I decided to actually roll into Mango, get rested, and pray that he's gonna play like an idiot.
I'm pretty sure I've heard him say that like he ate that one because he knew.
It's actually, yeah, as I said, like, I don't believe that a lot of people will trust me, but it's actually the truth. For some reason, when I was playing that match and everything felt hopeless, like I was one stock away from winning the tournament, now I was on the verge of having to play a second set of grand finals. I got reminded of EK versus Zamsa. I was there watching it live, and EK was like my inspiration for Melee. He was up 4-1 in winners finals. He was 3-3. EK had been undefeated for quite a while, especially against European players. And seeing him lose that game, I was like, it was crazy. It was like anything is possible if you just put your mind and brain into it. But also, like, to make such a big comeback, it also, like, the other player needs to start playing a bit worse. Like, if you're up 4-1, for the other one to make a comeback, it's almost always the other player also starting to be, like, as Mango say, lazy or overconfident or something like that. And once I got reminded of that, I was like, because in that moment, I was still at, like, a very high percent. A rest wouldn't really lose me much in terms of, like, the comeback wouldn't need to be that much bigger. But the crowd effect and, like, Mango's confidence, all of that would be, like, so much higher. So I still felt like it was gonna be worth it, and I went for it, and it almost paid off. Mango actually starts playing like an idiot. He starts going for like random rollouts, doesn't even space any of his moves pretty much. So it was a crazy, like, if that comeback actually happened, it might have been like one of the most crazy ones, because a 3-1 stock comeback as Peach against Puff should be impossible, more or less.
The crowd, I would get hyped and I would start playing worse because I'm more hyped. But I also think that's full of shit because that was like back in the day. Like, no, I never. That moment of like me getting hype and playing for the crowd wasn't really a thing. So I don't know. I believe him, but I still think he's full of shit. But I give him the top player respect, benefit of the doubt. But I still don't believe him.
He started paying no respect.
How do you
to
get
me
benefit
anymore.
of the
It's
doubt
he has
and
all
still
the
don't
momentum.
believe it? It's like an oxymoron. But yeah, as I said, I don't believe that a lot of people will trust me. But it's actually a thing. And as I said, like, even though it might not have been the case for any of Americans prior to this tournament, like, I firsthand witnessed, to this day, the greatest comeback of all time in Melee. And I do think it, like, left its marks, if that makes any sense. No, the thing is, like, I feel like a lot of people, like, even though it is true, I feel like some people might not want to believe it because it's, like, ruin the moment for them. So this is, like, when they experience it, like, obviously no one would ever think of such a thing, like, being possible to be played off. So it's, like, it's partly ruined the moment, and it's also partly that a lot of people don't want it to believe it to be the case. But, like, in this day and time, it's, like, more common. Like, sometimes I've heard other people talk about this as well. Like, let's say it's a game 4, you're down by a lot, and people keep going for the same option, trying to condition the opponent for game 5 that they're gonna keep going for the same thing, and then in game 5 to switch it up. It's like they pretty much consider the comeback in game 4 to be too hard, so they are stupid in the end of game 4, trying to condition you for the game 5, and that's when you change it all up. So it actually is like a true thing, but it's something like only a tiny amount of players would even start to like consider or even think about.
And little by little, I keep climbing back.
When I'm doing that, that means I'm comfortable. Like, even if I miss, I'm like, I always have to play my game. The second I don't play my game, I lose. Like, if I start playing their game, I can't win. I suck at their game, but I'm really good at what I do. So it's like, stuff like that just gets me hype. And then, like, once I know, I'm like, start swagging on them. And I just get inside there. It's like, man, this guy's styling on me. He's like throwing away stocks. You can just see the momentum. It's like the other guy starts falling apart. They start falling for dumber things. So it's like, I always say I just have to play my game. So it's like that dash dance was just me, like, having fun. I think at the end of the day, you gotta have some fun with it. And I'm just happy he rolled because that clip's so cool. That was the fastest puff dash dance in the history of time. And I remember it went down to like last hit somehow. Like he brought it back so hard, and I started getting nervous. I'm like, I cannot lose. Like after that happened, and like I have a 3. So I'm getting in my own head, and I'm like, oh my god. So I just started. There's one point on stadium where like in the middle of stadium, just throwing out aerials and missing like the most nervous aerials. Like he was like pretty close to like I think hitting me with an up air or something. I would have died, and we're just like missing, and then I get like a back air or something.
That was actually like
most
missed
nervous
input
aerials.
around
like, he was,
this
like, pretty
around
close to
this
like I
area.
think hitting me with an up air or something. I would have died, and we're just like missing.
It's like
And then I
around here, I wanted to fast fall nair, and then somehow I made fair, which is like way more delayed. I'm not sure if the nair actually would like, if it would even have been like a strong hit, but like looking back at it, it's like it was like an annoying tech flub.
like a back air or something. I don't remember how it ended specifically, but I remember I hit it, and the whole crowd's like, and then he died. Yeah, and everyone just like exploded because he died at like 180. So it's like, yeah, everyone's like, yeah. And then after that, like it was done.
It literally comes down to the last hit, and I was down like 3 stocks to 1. That shouldn't even be possible to make a comeback out in that matchup, unless you are super confident and you start playing way worse.
Next set starts, like I beat him. Like it's just, you know, the rest is history. It's just a 3-0.
But yeah, Mango clutched it out, and then in set 2, I think I gave it my all in the first set, and I couldn't really climb back from that, and Mango got a huge momentum boost from winning that first set. So the second set, except for game 1, was pretty much a steamroll. I didn't really have much to compete with at that point.
Pulled out his Fox. Like, I wish I 4-stocked it this day. That'd be the best way to end it.
As I talk about here, it's like, yeah, after such heartbreaking losses in the first set, I couldn't really bounce back from that. It was like, in my head, it was too much. Losing, heartbreaking losses, the entire crowd goes crazy. It was like so many things I hadn't really experienced before that I couldn't really handle it. Obviously today, I have learned a lot over my years, but for a first try, it was like the hardest possible way of making a comeback. Yo, thank you for the resub, dude. But actually, now when I think about it, since like a lot of people talked about like Genesis 4 being so boring because it was like such a steamroll, but this one was like almost the same. I guess game 1 was closer because game 1 was actually really close in the second set, but game 2 and then game 3 was like really bad for me. But I've actually never heard people saying this is a bad set, even though it's like so one-sided. But yeah, anyway, like, for me, I felt like it was like the difference between Winners Final, like Grand Final Set 1 and Grand Finals Set 2. Like, the difference between the 2 first sets and the last one was like so big. It's like, I realized even more after this tournament how important mental game is.
My Fox had never ever played a single match against the Puff going into that match pretty much.
It's over. it's free. And I was like the Fox. No Fox could beat my Puff at the time. I was like, you know, I always played with like Joey and Alex. That's my matchup. Even to this day, like when I do play Fox against Fox, I still like it in a weird way. Even when I'm getting camped, it brings me back to like my old days of people trying to camp me, and then they just get smacked up. So like, I love that matchup, and when he did it, I'm like, there's no way his Fox is like nowhere near as good as like. So I was like, and then once he did it, like in my head, I'm like, it's over. Then like I rest him 8 seconds in, I'm like, it's super over. It's like you're done. It's just like you're done.
After being down 2-0, I was like, all right, I'll bring out the Fox, see what happens. But with so little experience, with like partly the matchup, partly with the character, and him having all the momentum, it was not a good decision. But I was like, I know I would not win with Peach anyway. So it was like the 1% chance. I went for it, and I don't regret it, even though it clearly did not pay off.
But I just had the momentum, and like the crowd was like so on my side. I mean, usually they are on my side, but like that time was like the first ever, like, because no one ever cheered for me as much. Like, obviously now I'm like the fan favorite. Everyone knows that. But back in the day, it's like no one really cheered for me because I was the favorite. So it's like you can't just go crazy for the like you can't cheer. So like I never really got cheered for, but in that moment everyone was like Mango, like everyone was on my side. Like pretty sure it was like 3 Peach mains in the crowd not cheering for me. For the most part, it was like all Mango. That was like the original. Like we gotta cheer for Mango. Mango needs to win this. So just winning that was sick, just because.
The funny thing there, when Mango actually like throws out the money, I actually in this moment I didn't see that he was the one throwing out the money. I was just like staring at the TV. I was like, how the fuck did I let this like slip out of my hands? And then one of these $1 bills lands on my lap, and in that moment I actually thought it was someone that intentionally had like a $1 bill, put it on my lap as like, oh, like you lost a shit ton of money like in this moment, but here, take a $1. I was like, fuck that person. Because that was like what my mind started to think first. That someone on purpose put the $1 bill as like a disrespect for me. I don't know why my mind came to like that conclusion at first. But that was what I was thinking. It was so random. And now I'm like, I've seen the fact that Mango throws out the money, and I've heard about it like multiple times after Genesis 1. But like, just like thinking back of all of this is like, it's so random and so funny at the same time.
I got to defend. That was like the first time I defended America. But like everyone after like had so much respect for Armada. It's like how could we not, And Armada coming just and performing as well he did definitely like sparked up Melee. Like that's just important. Like that was definitely like there's like big moments in history, like in Smash history. That's definitely like a staple. Like that was we needed that, and that like got things hyped up. And it's like now Armada's coming. Can't let Armada win.
You're right. So
absolutely awful. Going on.
So the key thing here I want to highlight is, SSBM rank came out. Quite telling statistic here is Armada and Hungry Bucks only dropped 1 game.
Armada's Peach does not have problems with dropping random games to people. The defensive game, the punish game, all
He's
that
a fortress.
stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To quote Duck, he thinks Armada's playing really bad this weekend. He says Armada was playing so bad that he dropped a game to SJ. And I looked at it, I was like,
that's also like that's such a funny statement, especially since S2J took 2 matches of me like a year later. I don't really remember too much of how I played during Genesis 3, like day 2. So I can't really say if Duck was correct or incorrect. But yeah, it's also like just a funny thing to hear, since like at Genesis 4 it was like so much closer. But yeah, it's like this entire rivalry of me and Mango, like it's so perfect in so many ways. Like going to Genesis 1, I could never ever have imagined that something like this would happen. And then we play grand finals of like every Genesis, like 4 of them. Oh, Genesis 5 is gonna be crazy.
I sort of agreed with him because I actually looked back at some of his matches after he said that, and I was like, you know what? I don't actually think Armada played that well. I think we saw like Armada's C level play, and C level play happens to get him into winter semis.
Yeah.
I think today he could come in at a completely different level.
That place brings me back a lot of good memories.
I think this will be closer than people think it will be. I think automatically we're like, okay, PP still got his inactivity issues, and Armada's at the top of his game. This is like prime Armada we're looking at.
But yeah, this like venue or arena or whatever you want to call it for Genesis top 8s, like before Genesis 4, like the night before, I was just standing outside of the venue for like a solid 5 minutes, like looking at the building, thinking back about Genesis 3, like of everything that's gonna happen tomorrow, how important tomorrow is. It's like, it was a little bit of like a trip back, like down the memory line, but also like the expectations and like tomorrow it all comes down to it. Like tomorrow we'll see if like the work and effort is gonna pay off the way I want to. And playing PPMD at this Genesis, I feel like it was actually a really good set for the most part. Like I honestly got pretty fucked up in this second match. I feel like I know the Falcon matchup much better as Fox now, so it's gonna be interesting to play PP in this matchup once he gets back, because we're still probably gonna have our like counter pick battles, Fox Marth, Falco Fox, Peach Falco, and then maybe even on occasion Peach Marth. So it's gonna be interesting. Like PPMD and I, we have like really special sets. No other like top 6 members have like as counter pick heavy sets as we have. Charm is so hyped in the crowd. Honestly, it was actually one moment, like, on this last stock. I could have used up smashed after the up throw, but I still am so bad at, like, doing up throw up smash. Or not bad at doing them. It's like, they never kill in PAL, really, so I'm, like, never going for it. Every other time, if up smash kills or not, every time I'm in doubt, I know up smash will kill. It's just like not a habit of mine going for the up smash. So like, I feel like I should have finished off game 4 way before that edge guard situation, because up smash would have killed, and I would never have been off stage. But I guess the PAL part of me was like still there.
I will be honest, I watched all the
Oh,
Peach
thanks for
players,
resub, dude.
but it was actually boring to see Peach players play. So I wanna try to change Peach metagame. I think like looking back at the event, I was like, yeah, I did pretty good, and I'll make sure to win the next
I love the twins.
But
They're
then
so amazing.
something happens, and I got 4th at pound, and then I got like 2nd and 2nd. So I started to like develop this 2nd place curse. And after pound 4, Mango stopped entering tournaments like seriously. He played Mario or Falcon. It was pretty obvious that he's not gonna try to win these kind of events, which was sad for me in a sense, because I was like, I wanted one real second chance. But a while before Genesis 2, he said he was gonna come back, he was gonna be try hard. So I was really excited for Genesis 2. And then I also heard they were gonna use the same venue and stuff, and I was like, I had to go back here to finally take my revenge. Like, I think to take my final revenge, I need to go back to where it all started. So I was super excited to see Mango back. I was super excited to go back to the place where it all started.
I actually remember not too long before Genesis 2, I actually had that conversation with a friend of mine. Like, we were talking a little bit about Smash, we were talking a little bit about Genesis 2. He was also going to be a part of the road trip we had prior to Genesis 2. And I told him, like, I feel like I need to go back to where it all started. Like, maybe, I know it's not the truth, but like, in one way it just felt like all of these second places, maybe it was for a reason. Maybe I just needed to have my first real victory against Mango, my first real victory in that venue. That's like sort of what it felt like. And it just felt so amazing winning Genesis 2. I actually dreamed about the top 8, the finals and stuff like that. Or it's more like I had the dream of like that I was gonna bring the championship belt home. So when I woke up, I felt amazing from the start of the day.
I didn't even play Fox that much in friendlies, to be honest. Like, I just played him here and there. Kind of like Falco more, but for some reason, like, I feel like when my Fox gets momentum in top 8, it just, like, it can steamroll with it.
All right, man. You already know what it is. Grand Finals, the rematch. Niggas is hype, son.
Genesis 1, I was in Grand Finals winner side, Pound 5. I was also in winner side Grand Finals. So it was a little bit similar to these events, but I was trying to still like not thinking about it because I knew like I had this second place curse.
Usually when I'm playing, it's all kind of a blur. I don't really remember specific, unless, you know, it's like 2.4 or something stands out so heavy. But I don't really remember much. I just remember going back and forth and being like, man, this guy's a brick wall, man.
Compared to every other Fox, more or less.
Yeah, that was actually a thing for me back then. Like, my mentality was much worse, to be honest. Like, I got nervous more easily. Like, once I was about to win, both at Genesis 1 and Pound 4, when I was up 2-1 in the first set of Grand Finals, I was like, one more match. I started to think about the victory before I actually won. And that's like a huge mistake for any player. You can't like start focusing on like, oh, I won the tournament before it's over. That's a lesson I had to learn twice. Or like go over twice. So that's crazy. But this set was pretty interesting. Mango coming from losers, beating Tosh in a very, very dominating fashion. And HBox before that, unless I remember incorrectly. So
I had never really...
Oh yeah. Going into this set, I was like, I didn't really know what it was gonna feel like to play against his Fox at this event.
Experience the same speed.
He definitely wanted it more than me.
Everybody is on Mango's side right now, son. Armada is doing his best. Armada's still holding it down, though. Despite the crowd, Armada's still...
I did have a lot of my friends there. I had my brother there. So I finally felt like in America I had like support for the first time. So I felt like it was a little bit more comfortable to play when I knew like some of them were like standing almost right next to me and was cheering me on. And I used to try to live in the moment.
He just came into it more prepared, more mentally ready.
There it goes. Swag. Swag. First Genesis all over again.
I know. Armada's got to slow the pace of the game down. You got to
keep the crowd quiet too.
Yeah.
I think that set was really good for me. Like, people always talk about Genesis 2 set because it's like we're just running at each other. There was like no camping. It was just like back and forth, back and forth.
Ooh, that was good.
He's so good at trading. Like if I approach him wrong, I'm dead. Like it was a lot of fun. Like. That's like towards when the meta started getting a little more punish heavy. So that was like kind of the start of it.
He brought it down. No room for error.
Yeah, man. Same shit, different turns.
Yeah.
Like it went game 5. I think game 5 he beat me pretty convincing, but like the rest of the matches were just like back and forth. It was just like a slobber knocker, you know.
Yeah. Now I get what Mango's talking about, like chills. Like just watching this, it's like. To this day, Genesis 2 is my favorite win in melee singles. It's my favorite win. Even beats out Evo 2015. This win will always be my number 1 win in singles.
He did it! He did it! Armada finally did it!
I'm happy for him, man. He deserved the fuck out of that.
He finally won. Good shit, Armada. Congrats to Mango.
Even though I lost, I think it was really good for Melee. Because at the time, like, that was pretty much a top-level play. It's just like, back and forth. I think that was his first tournament win in America, actually. It's good for him. Like, what better tournament to have as your first win than, like, Genesis 2? So, at the end of the day, I was happy for him. I had a good time. I got second. Put on a show for the people. So, overall, it was, cool little experience. And I was definitely happy for him. He won his first tournament. It's like, all right, we had to give him one eventually, So, it's like, I was okay with it, ultimately.
Looking back at it today, I think my Genesis 1 run.
Yeah, it's like sometimes I also like, even though people might not feel like that about me, but like what Mango sort of describes there is like, it's like I had a struggle before finally winning an event. So it's like when I won, people are like, of course they wanted to win, but they could be like happy for me because it was a lot of work, a lot of effort, but in the end, like, I came through. It's the same thing, like, I know at Apex 2015, for example, when PP won, I was partly, like, happy with my performance because my Fox was, like, extremely untested and still did very well. But it's still, like, it was very cool, the fact that PP won. He came out of, like, a long break, and he just ended up winning a tournament. So it's like, it was cool. So, or, like, if you look back at Gommel, for example, Leffen winning that tournament is also, like, is very cool as well. It was, like, at the moment, like, I got out at 5th, so I was, like, already, like, a little bit sad and all of that before grand finals and stuff. But looking back at it, like, me winning Genesis 2, PP winning Apex 2015, Leffen winning Gommel, it's, like, there were special wins for sure. Oh yeah. Oh fuck.
It was fantastic. I wish I could have been able to pull it off, but I also feel like I overcome a lot of hard things from like getting these like second places all the time and then finally win. That's why I consider Genesis 2 my biggest win of all time in singles, because I finally managed to overcome all the problems I had of winning in grand finals, especially also since I beat PPMD, HBox, and Mango in the reverse order of how I lost to them.
That's actually a thing I realized, like, a while afterwards. It was pretty cool that, like, PPMD, that was, like, my most recent loss in grand finals. And I beat him in quarters. HBox was, like, my second most recent grand finals loss in America. I played him in semis. And then Mango was, like, the very first one I played against in grand finals in America. So it was, like, I won the tournament, but I also was beating all of my, like, demons in a way.
At Genesis, I really wanted to do it because Armada did his part. He got to Grands, and he like got there pretty. I don't think he had any struggles. I think like Kevin took a game off him. I think he destroyed Hungrybox that tournament winners. So Armada did his part, and I was like, all right, I'm coming at him. Like, we're gonna do this, man. We're gonna do this.
I heard so many people say that, oh, I want to see you versus Mango. That's the way it has to be. Like, it's no other way. It's gonna be a disappointment. Like, if this doesn't happen, we gotta make this happen. We gotta make this happen.
I remember people were tweeting like, I always believe in a Mango loser run, but this might be one of the hardest ones yet. And I remember I just woke up and it's just like, I don't know, I always wake up on day 3 and I'm like always in losers. It's like so normal. It's just like whatever. Like, and I honestly think it helps me because I'm a momentum-based player. So when I'm playing in losers, I just play a lot.
I saw Mango walk up and I told him, I did my part, now it's up to you.
Oh yeah. That's what you guys talked about earlier. Or I mentioned it and you guys said it was.
I never
fun,
really feel that like it's like, oh my god, I'm playing on this big stage. I've never felt that. I'm just like, I'm gonna play Melee. At the end of the day, like I've been playing Melee for like 10 plus years, and I always say like it's just another day in the office. It's just I'm just playing Melee. Sport players like I'm just playing basketball. Like it's game 7 of the finals, but I'm playing basketball.
Taking it in convincing fashion over Slice's Nintendo.
don't want to say that box players should suck because you probably can't do anything with your team.
Mango's holding the tournament up right now.
Yeah, Mango's on his spirit bomb.
When you're in the zone, you're in the zone, and like it really is like a real thing to just like be so locked in on something.
Who rented a limo for me at G2. It was like AGP Anton, but it was like they rented the limo because it was like the cheapest and most convenient option to get to the airport. But it was like once I won Genesis 2, people made up the rumor or like they pranked people about the Swedes like booked the limo in advance because they knew I would win Genesis 2. So it was like a funny little prank that was going around. Some people got like a little bit salty because it was like, oh, how could you guys know that Armada would beat Tryhard Mango? Like, how could you guys know that? It was like no one beats Tryhard Mango. It was like random and kind of fun, but yeah. Yeah, the thing is, we only needed one limo, but we would have needed like 3 cabs or something like that because we're so many.
With the fifth place performance, Mango's still going on. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, so Mango lost at 3-1
Yeah, pretty solid on accident. But I feel like this is a different guy he's playing.
right now.
You know, this is Mango, man. Barely making through day 2.
And yeah,
And
day
just
2
dominate. Yeah, day 2, Mango is
The tournament ended on day 2. Mango will lose.
oh,
Bobak and Jerem being happy.
I rode the hype really well at Genesis. Like I didn't let it like affect my play or anything. I was just like super amped up on it.
That's a Pikachu dash.
Yeah.
Oh no!
And
the crowd does not care. The crowd does not care at all. They're like, yes,
Yes,
we get it. This is what we wanted to see, but actually, you never see that from them.
Honestly,
I think
I
the
hate
other
that
players
part
never
when
admitted
like
it, but
I
they get a little
understand
scared
people are
when they see them
rooting
playing well.
for like
No,
one
no,
player
Mango-
or like
Mango's,
oh
you know,
don't want
playing
this
like
player to
Mango.
win, but I have a hard time to like I can never cheer if like a thing like that happens. Like if I watch like sports or whatever and like my team they get a goal because the other team like messed up badly and like scored in their own goal or whatever.
Game 5, I think.
I can't be like
Never
hyped
Bucks
about
at
it.
Genesis
It's
is,
like so bad played that
It's
I'm
like in the
like
top 5
I
like
can't
most
get hyped.
important games in Melee history.
But-
Strictly what was on the line. It's like either Hungrybox is the villain and he stops the Mango Armada, or Mango's the hero and we get Mango. Because everybody, I think even H-Fox a little bit in his heart wanted Mango Armada. I think everybody in their heart wanted it. As a Melee fan, it's like, especially like now we're like in this big auditorium.
And this
like,
moment was
100,000
like
viewers,
it was
but this is,
crazy.
like,
I actually stopped
want
warming up
H-Fox
to
Armada
watch
Grand-
the last
like,
stock.
he's-
I was like, all right, I have to watch
somebody
this.
Maybe, I don't know. But you know,
I
that
have
was
to
like
watch
so
this.
super important last stock. He like messes up his DI, get like a pretty lucky bear I wouldn't get on him normally, and he just like DI's like.
Oh yeah, that was garbage. DI. Mango's so hyped. Alex is also always so hyped. Like when Mango wins, he's like running up on the stage and like, oh, give me a hug, dude. Yo, Glass, what's up, dude? Genesis 3 was a fantastic tournament. I feel like that top 8 was like honestly one of the best ever. It was like a lot of really good sets. I'm already looking forward to Genesis 5. Looking back at this, I was more hyped at Genesis 4 in a way. I was like, let's fucking go. Chuan looks so wasted. That top 8 was something else. Now the thing is, HBox actually has like, he got 3rd, 4th, 3rd, 4th. So HBox have kept like, you know, 3rd, 4th, 3rd, 4th. I just realized that after this Genesis.
Once it was over, it was kind of like a relief. It's like, when you go on those runs, man, I'm telling you, like, and now we have lights in this, so I was sweating. Like, I've never sweat that much in my life. Like, I like put my...
I just actually realized that, so, I know GGC, GOML is like, some people consider them super majors, and they probably deserve to be called super majors, but the last, like, even if they are super majors, it's like, Evo, Genesis, Big House is like, still like a tiny bit, or not a tiny bit, but they are like even bigger within the same tier. Mango and I have actually played like 2 grand finals in a row for like the biggest of the super majors. It's pretty cool since we haven't played grand finals that many times in like the past 1.5, 2 years. So it's pretty cool. Mango took Big House, I took this one. So going a bit back and forth as well. It's like also like a lot of respect from like Mango now at Genesis 4, a lot of respect from me at Big House 6. It's like us playing grand finals twice in a pretty short time. I guess it reminds both of us of like the old times when it was like happening more often.
A whole soul into that run, man. I was like, let's go. And I'm usually not very emotional when I play. I'm pretty like, but like Genesis, I was pretty emotional. I was like happy every time I won. Like, I was sweating. There was so much sweat. My hair was so like, it reminds me of like PPMD's beard. Remember at Apex? After an Apex run, it's his beard just gross and sweaty. So 15 was the worst year of my Melee career. Just like, pretty much didn't do anything. I didn't do anything that year. People were like already like Mango's washed up, blah blah blah. People were like hella smack talking me, and I was like, man. And you always like, I never want to believe, but at some point when you lose so much, I remember when I lost last year's Big House. There's a picture of me like just super defeated after, because then it's like, oh, maybe I do suck. Maybe like, maybe I don't got it anymore. Maybe I can't compete in the meta. So it's like, but like I've never been happy about getting second. But at Genesis, I was actually pretty proud of myself. I was like, okay, you still showed that you got it. Like, You threw out all these good players. You took Armada second set. At the end of the day, me and Armada split sets and we went 4-4 in matches, I think. So it's like, you know, it's just my fault for being losers, but I was overall happy with the way I played. I was like, no, we still got it, baby. Like, we can still compete, you know, like, you can't sleep on me yet, you know. So, for me, that was just big, like fuck yeah, like, yes, I knew I could still do it. Like, I knew I still had it. And I was happy for Adam, you know. I'm always happy for him when he wins, you know. When anyone beats me, like, and I played well.
Yeah. Like, when Megan talks about getting second there, like, I feel like, yeah, it reminds me, like, also about, like, the Apex 2015 run for me. Because I had, like, a pretty rough 2014. Hadn't won anything, like, really big in a long time. I won CEO, that was, like, a pretty big win, but, like, nothing super big. So, like, getting second at Apex 2015, like, having a pretty good loser bracket run, it was, like, also, like, you never want to get second, but it's still, like, one of the more, like, okay second places. And I feel like Mango felt the same thing. 2015 was a bad year for him. Here he got second. He was beating HBox, PP, taking revenge on X, and had a really good set against Nintendo. So that's just how it is sometimes. If you have like a bad streak, like you just having like one performance that like shows that you still got it. It can be like all you need to like bring out like other good results. But yeah, it was like, yeah, me and Mango have this like crazy amount of respect for each other. It was like, we're good friends, we're great rivals, but it's still like, we appreciate what the other one brings to the game.
So it's like, well, you know, you got it. Like, sometimes you're gonna get me, sometimes I'm gonna get you. So I was happy for him. And yeah, I mean, I got a bunch of subs and stuff, so it worked out for me. I felt like I won.
Mango
I hate
loves
when people
talking
say
about
that.
his
Like, oh, I
subs.
felt like I won, but they obviously didn't win the tournament. But that was the closest I ever got to being like pretty okay with it. I was like, yeah, but you know, you did what you had to do. You fell a little short, but you know, you put on a show, and like I said, I got a bunch of subs, so it worked out. I was happy.
Yeah, Mango's dedication for his stream has actually been very, very impressive. Good shit, dude. Good shit. That Pikachu was so cute. That trophy is actually really underrated. I actually really like the design of that trophy. It's very cool. Alright, that looks like it's it. Or wait, what happens at the end?
Remember that moment of hype? Alex ran up, hugged me. He actually hurt when he hugged me, he hurt me. And that's probably why I ended up losing, but
No Johns, no Johns.